For more on Zynga's Declaration of Independence, we're joined by Blair, an analyst with Wedge Partners, who's been covering the video game industry for a decade, and Zynga for the last two. He's in New York. Brian, what is your reaction to all of these announcements from Zynga today?
You know, I think Cory gave some great stats on exactly what's happening to Zynga's user base and their ability to monetize their users. My reaction is this is a smart move on Zynga's part because they need to ultimately have a path to diversify away from Facebook. Facebook has been an incredible partner of growth since the company's inception, but now they need to look at other alternatives. You mentioned Google Plus earlier. That may or may not be important 5 years from now, but Zynga needs to put some chips down there. They also announced that they have some HTML5 based apps that are now going to run on top of the new Facebook iPad platform. So on top of what they've already done for the iPhone, they're making a push into mobile. And now this Zynga Direct, the idea of going to direct to consumers is another way of diversifying their offering, and it's necessary, for them to be able to grow longer term.
How are they able to do that and keep a solid relationship with Facebook? Chris told us earlier that Facebook had a presence today, that everybody seems to be happy for now. Why are they able to do that?
You know what? I think that they have a great relationship with Facebook. You know, they've built themselves on Facebook. But I think that partnership they announced is not a lifetime partnership. They announced it in May of last year, and it takes place for 5 years. After 5 years, that partnership, there's no guarantee of the relationship remaining in the standing it's in now. So Zynga needs to look out 5 years and say, okay, how do we survive if for any reason we don't continue to get the support we've been getting from Facebook? And this is the path. This is the way to do it.
You got to imagine, Brian, in a road show ahead of an IPO, that Zynga's first question is, what are you going to do if Facebook sticks it to you?
That's right, Cory.
This is a way for them to sort of counter that, isn't it?
That's exactly right, because the last thing investors are going to want is 90 or 100% reliance on anything. That's the first rule of investing. They're going to want to see that they've got maybe 40% of their revenues coming from Facebook, and they have these other opportunities in other opportunities in Google Plus, maybe another social networking platform that we don't know yet, plus their own platform. But investors are definitely going to want to see diversity in the way that they're receiving revenues.
Do you know, I talked a little bit about the growth or the lack of growth in bookings.
Right.
Sequentially, it was actually down. Do you think that reflects a slowdown overall at Facebook? Is it about a lack of a Facebook mobile app, or is Zynga just kind of losing steam as it gets to an IPO?
You know what? I think there's maybe a little bit of losing steam, but the way I look at it, Cory, is that a lot of these games, they're fads, and it's one of the reasons why Zynga has had to continue to introduce new games. Today they introduced 10 new games because Farmville, like any other game, it has a life cycle, and the life cycle was really hot for a while and has trended down. Cityville was another one. Empires and Allies has done well, but each of these games is going to be on a growth curve, and so they need to constantly introduce new games, and each game acts like a trend. So the way I look at it is that some of the older games, Cory, are getting a little stale, and now they need to introduce some new games to continue to grow.
Brian, it's John again. Bottom line, does this announcement today make it a little bit easier for Zynga to get through that IPO, to go public in this rocky environment?
It absolutely does, because as Cory wisely pointed out, it addresses the main concern investors are going to have with this IPO, which is diversification of your revenue sources. And that's exactly what these announcements today, all of them, address.
All right, Brian, thanks for your perspective. Blair from Wedge Partners joining us from New York with the latest on Zynga.